only year 9, so we're going to be making Scotch pancakes today. Okay, so wash your hands first, make sure you've got an apron on. The equipment you're going to need is a measuring jug, a set of scales, a sieve, a mixing bowl, a spatula, a frying pan, preferably non-stick if you've got one. Some sugar is in your ingredients, caster sugar's good, self-raising flour, an egg, and I'm using almond milk, but you can use any form of milk, and some sunflower oil. Okay, vegetable oil's fine. Okay, so we're going to start off by weighing out the ingredients. Now these scales are digital scales, so I'm going to put the bowl and the sieve on the scales at the same time and set it to 0. And then I'm going to weigh in 175 grams of self-raising flour. Okay, and I'm going to make sure I'm accurate with this because I want the correct consistency for my pancakes. So I've put a little bit too much in here, so I'm just going to take some out and make sure that I get the right consistency, because your pancake, if it's not right, could be either too runny or far too thick and gloopy, and then it won't cook properly. Okay, so I'm sieving the flour, pushing all the lumps out into the bowl underneath, and because I weighed both the sieve and the bowl together, I know that my flour is accurate because I set it to 0 with them on there at the same time. So I'm going to reset my scales now back to 0 so that it will just weigh the sugar going in. So I'm putting in 40 grams of sugar. I'm using caster sugar, but you can use any form of sugar, not icing sugar, but you can use granulated if you've not got caster sugar, that's fine. Okay, so that's my dry ingredients. And then with my wet ingredients, I'm going to measure these into a measuring jug. Now this measuring jug is pretty rubbish. You can't see the measurements on it at all. So again, I'm going to weigh it in. So I'm setting it to 0 again, and I'm weighing in 200 millilitres of milk. Now, like I said, I'm using almond milk, but that's my choice because I don't drink dairy. And I've got some left over as well that needs using up. I'm also going to put in an egg. So I'm going to use the back end of the spoon to crack the egg, and then pull it apart and just drop it into the milk. Okay, and then I'm going to take them off the scales, and using a fork or a whisk, you can break the egg up and whisk it into the milk. I will use a whisk in a minute to mix the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients together. Now, if you haven't got a set of scales, if you've got a large you've got a tablespoon, if you work it on 25 grams of flour per tablespoon, you can work out how many tablespoons you're going to need for 75 grams, and a good tablespoon of sugar would be sufficient for the sugar weighing out. Okay, so here I am mixing the wet ingredients into the dry. I'm using a balloon whisk. You can still use a fork, it's just a little bit more effort. And I'm mixing that in, and you can see it's not going to be a very runny dough. It's quite a thick batter that we're using. Okay, so I'm going to just give it a good whisk and knock all the air out of it, knock all the lumps out of it, and incorporate air into it. Okay, and then using a spatula, but again you can use a spoon, I'm going to pour this now back into the measuring jug that I used before. The reason for this is it just makes it easier to put into the frying pan when you start to cook it. Okay, right, so you then need to take your frying pan. You can see how thick that batter is. You then need to take your frying pan and put it on the stove. Add a touch of oil. You don't need a lot. Put the heat on, and I'm just going to sort of spread this oil around. For some reason, my hob is not very flat. It's a brand new hob, and it's not. The pans don't sit on it flat. It seems to be at some sort of angle. So my oil and stuff runs to one side. So I'm just going to push it around because I don't want to fry the Scotch pancakes. I want them to dry cook really, but this is just to prove the pan. Okay, now if you're not sure about the heat that your pan needs to get to, if you get a small teaspoon and just drop a couple of drops into the oil, if it hits and it starts to sizzle, can you see how you've got the bubbles around the edge of it? It's ready to add your pancake mix. Okay, I'm doing 3 pancakes. They're not like the big flat ones. These are ones that sit up. They're like American pancakes. So I'm going to do 3 to start off with. It's all about temperature control with this. It's about making sure that you don't burn the underside of the pancakes. So you can see it sizzling. Okay, so I've turned the heat down a little bit because I don't want it to overcook underneath. Don't touch it, leave it alone. Don't start poking and prodding and moving them around the pan. What you're looking for are bubbles starting to appear at the top of the pancakes. They're coming up to the surface. When that starts to happen and you can see it starting to cook up the side of the pancakes, then you can start thinking about flipping them over. But if you flip them over too soon, you'll just end up with a lot of dough on your spatula, and then that will just start to stick and stick and stick, and you'll just end up with a big mess. Patience is a virtue. Okay, so just take your time, let them cook. If you whack the heat up to get them to cook quicker, they'll be raw in the middle and they'll be brown and black on the outside. Okay, so these are just about ready. Just flip them over. Okay, just flip it over. You've got a nice golden colour. And then that one as well. And then you're just going to let them cook again on that side. Okay, it doesn't take long. It's only a couple of minutes. But if you know the temperature's low, so that they do cook through. What you don't want is biting into them and have a load of raw dough in the middle. Okay, make sure you have a plate ready to put them on when you finish cooking them. Okay, so that's ready to come out. All right. I've flipped them over again just to make sure they're cooked on the other side. And then I'm just letting this one, because it's a little bit paler for some reason. The pan seems to be hotter on one side. Whilst this is finishing off, I'm just going to show you, I'm going to add some fruit to the next 3 that I'm going to make. I'm just going to add some dried fruit in the middle of them. Okay, so just to give them a different flavour. You could add lemon zest if you wanted. Or you could just leave them plain and serve them with bacon and egg. Okay, because you can have them savoury as well as sweet. Alright, so I'm putting these in, and I've added a little bit too much, I think, and it's just starting, because my pan's not level, it's just starting to merge, but that's no need to panic about that. So I'm just going to drop some dried fruit into the middle of the pancake mix on each of the little individual pancakes. And these will go into the batter once I've turned them over. Okay, I've got to separate these before I flip them over, so I'll need to let them cook a little bit before I start to separate them. I'm going to do it with my spatula rather than doing it with a knife, because I don't want to scratch the surface of the pan. Alright, so I'm just using the edge of the spatula to cut through, and because the batter is a little bit sticky on the top but it's cooked underneath, it's letting me separate them. And I just flip it over, and then again the same on this side. Okay, and then just flip it over. Lovely. Right, now you can see my spatula have loads of batter on it, so I'm just washing it to make sure I get all the sticky batter off. Otherwise, it will drag on the pancakes again when I try to lift them out. Okay, and then these will nearly be done. So again, temperature's low on my pan. I kept it low. I've not turned it up. Alright, so you can see nice golden colour with the fruit actually in the pancakes. So I'm lifting those out, and I will do 3 more. So I'm getting about 9 pancakes out of that pancake mix. Okay, that's a better colour. Happier with that one. Now obviously if your pancake mix is too thin, you're going to end up making bigger pancakes, a bit like you did on Shrove Tuesday. So these are the last 3 that I've started doing, and I'm just going to flip these over now, and then once they're done I'm going to actually put them on a plate with some fruit and a portion. Got a nice colour on them. Okay, so now they're cooked, I'm going to put them on a plate. I've chopped up some strawberries because I'm just going to stack them. So I'm putting a few strawberries on, a little sprinkle of sugar, not much, just a tiny bit. You could put lemon juice on if you wanted to. Then another pancake, then a few more bits of strawberry, a little bit more sugar or lemon if you've got it. Last pancake. And then to this I'm going to drizzle over the top some maple syrup. I don't eat cream, so but some of you might want to put cream on. You could put yoghurt on it, you could have it as part of your breakfast, but maple syrup is more than enough for me. And there you have it. So I hope you present them like this. And don't forget to send me the pictures of your finished pancakes.